Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mixed Concepts channel for another IRL in real life cricket chat about the USA cricket teams. And I said teams because USA had a pretty busy January in ICC tournaments. But based on the title of this video, I will talk about the best playing 11 for the USA cricket team first. So USA, they took pretty much till the deadline to finally release the squad that is going to play in this year's T20 World Cup men's. And the squad looks good. I actually wanted to make a video a week earlier about what would be the best playing 11, but then Aaron Jones, well, he was apparently caught for corruption by ICC and he was suspended from the team. So that's very unfortunate, but I'm glad I did not make that video because Aaron Jones would have potentially been in my playing 11, but now he's not even going to be part of the squad for who knows how long. So based on the 15 members that have gone to India and Sri Lanka, who are officially part of the squad, I think the best playing 11 should be Andres House and Shahan Jahangir to open the batting. Manang Patel should bat at 3. Then Sateja Mukamala should bat at 4. And number 5, Milind Kumar. And then this is where it gets a little bit tricky because out of these 3 players, whether it's Shubham Ranjane, Sanjay Krishnamurti, and Nosh Kenjage, out of these 3, I would play 2 of them. I'm really unsure which 3 to play. It would really be conditions based. I think Shubham Ranjane should be in the playing 11, and then got to be either Sanjay Krishnamurti or Nosh Kenjage, depending on whether USA want more batting or they want better bowling. And then Harmeet Singh definitely should play. And then the 3 fast bowlers, Jesse Singh, the vice captain, Ali Khan, and Saurabh Natawalkar. So this is my best playing 11 for USA. Yeah, it's really a question mark between Sanjay Krishnamurti or Nosh Kenjage. There are other options. Shehan Jayasuriya, he's part of the squad. I'm a bit surprised because he didn't even play in the previous Major League Cricket tournament. So I'm surprised that he was picked in this 15. But he may be a good option against Pakistan, maybe in Colombo, if they do play, because that is a separate story. I'm not going to talk too much about that incident. But if they do play against Pakistan in Colombo, Shehan Jayasuriya may not be a bad option because he might be familiar with the conditions, and he also is a left-hander, can ball spin bowling, but he could be another left-hander in the USA squad because in the US team, there's really only one left-hander, and Harmeet Singh, everyone else is a right-hander. So that's a bit of a problem, but hopefully that doesn't hurt USA in this World Cup. Of course, the first game they play is against India, which is going to be the biggest challenge in the group. And then they play Pakistan in Colombo. Then they play Namibia, Netherlands. So it's a tough group, as I mentioned last time when I did talk about USA and the group they were in. It's a tough group for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get a single point from this tournament, but it would be great if they could be Namibia and Netherlands, and they can beat Pakistan again. I mean, it would be awesome if they could beat India, but I don't even see that happening. I mean, India is too much of a juggernaut, really, to beat. Anyway, so that's the playing 11. Of course, there are other players in the squad are Mohammad Mohsin, he got a chance. And I think that's about it, right? Yeah, I can't remember the 15th player on the top of my head. Well, that's probably, Shally Van Skalkwyk. I forgot him. He may not be a bad option either. I would have actually put Van Skalkwyk ahead of Jesse Singh, in my opinion, but Jesse Singh's a vice captain, and he is an effort player, so sometimes every team doesn't need a player who gives all their effort. So I think that's why he's there. But anyway, so that's the playing 11. That's how the USA T20 World Cup squad is. That's how their campaign that's how their fixtures are. Hopefully the campaign goes as well as 2024. I mean, for the first campaign, they put up such a good performance for the expectations that now, the funny thing is there will be some expectations, but at the same time, I don't want to keep any because the teams they're going to play against are tricky and difficult. I mean, the game against Namibia is going to be tricky. They've never beaten Netherlands in cricket so far. Hopefully they can finally beat them. And then they have to play India and Pakistan. The 2 full members. I know they beat Pakistan last time, But I mean, can lightning strike twice? Who knows? But if that happens again, fantastic. They beat Pakistan again. Well, against India, it's almost pretty much a lost cause, you could say. But you never know. Maybe India have the worst day and USA can somehow cash in. So that's what the men's T20 World Cup cricket squad and fixtures are. I also do want to talk about the USA women's team real quick because they actually put up a really good fight in Nepal in the Women's T20 World Cup qualifier. They nearly made it to the Women's T20 World Cup. It came down to the final day where they were up against Scotland. They did beat them in a warm-up match, but they could not beat them on the day when it mattered. Yeah, they lost by 31 runs. They had to win that game and with some margin to overcome Scotland in the net run rate, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Well, they lost to all the 4 members they played, who ended up qualifying for the Women's T20 World Cup. They lost to Bangladesh and Ireland in group play, and then they lost to Netherlands and Scotland in the Super 6 phase. Yeah, they beat Namibia and Papua New Guinea women, and apparently USA never beat these 2 teams either. So I would say USA women definitely did step up in the Women's T20 World Cup qualifier. They were last in the 2024 qualifier, but in 2026 they came all the way to 5th position. They were so close to making a first ever Women's T20 World Cup. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, but it was a great performance from USA women. In my opinion, they exceeded my expectations. They came really close. Unfortunately, just couldn't get one more win, which would have got them into the Women's T20 World Cup, but a good performance nonetheless, and I would say well done. And then the Under-19 World Cup, USA men, they played in the Under-19 World Cup in Zimbabwe and Namibia. Well, all the games they played were in Zimbabwe. I would say they did not perform bad, especially being put in a group with India, Bangladesh, and New Zealand. Yeah, the game against India was always going to be the toughest game, and they lost that. They did lose pretty badly in terms of net run rate, but they made India sweat just a little bit, in my opinion. Yeah, they didn't bat very well. They barely made over 100, but they had India 25 for 3 in the DLS game. Unfortunately, India showed their class and ended up winning by 6 wickets, but it was a decent fight from USA, although the scorecard may not say so. And then the game against New Zealand, that was the game I really thought USA actually could have won if not for the rain screwing USA over. Of course, I'm not saying that New Zealand would not have chased down 250. They already scored 12 runs and 1 over. So it may have been a chance, but it was still so early that there could have been that off chance USA might have pulled off the upset against New Zealand. And then they had to win against Bangladesh because they only got 1 point in 2 games, and they couldn't win. They lost. They scored 199. They gave a target of 200. Bangladesh chased it down with 7 wickets in hand. They did drag it to the 42nd over, but they couldn't get enough wickets to make it a genuine game. So at the end, it was a one-sided L for the US, and they were consigned to a consolation match. They couldn't even make the Super 6 phase because New Zealand had 2 washouts. Speaking of New Zealand, they did not win a single game, whereas USA, they beat Scotland pretty well in the consolation game. Yeah, and Utkarsh Srivastava, he performed well against Scotland, but he didn't perform really well in the other games. I was expecting big things from him because he already represented the US senior team at one point, and he's the captain of the team, so I thought he would play much better than he ended up playing. Adnet Jam, though, he was probably the star with the bat. And Ritvik Apidi, he's another bowler who got the wicket of Suryavanshi against India, and I thought he bowled pretty decent throughout. Well, I didn't see any of the games, but based on the scorecard, it seemed that he was the best bowler in the fast bowlers. So I would say maybe Jam and Apidi might be the 2 players to watch out for in USA cricket. Maybe they'll be making the senior team in the next 5 to 6 years. And if that's the case, great. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to talk about in USA cricket. Yeah, just spoke about the men's T20 World Cup squad. Wanted to give a shout out to the women's team that nearly made it to the World Cup, and the Under-19 team that put up a decent fight in Zimbabwe, but it wasn't to be. So that's what's been happening in USA cricket. Of course, I'm excited for the T20 World Cup. Hopefully USA can do well and make it to the Super 8 again so that they don't have to play the regional qualifiers, because that can be really tricky. I mean, we saw what happened to Scotland. They lost to Italy and Jersey, but they got really lucky that Bangladesh refused to play in India, so they came back. And speaking of Scotland, they might be the associate to watch out for, because I genuinely think they could beat West Indies, and they could beat England maybe. I mean, in 2024 they had a chance if rain did not ruin it. And then they definitely could beat Nepal and Italy, where they should beat both of them. But Nepal as well is a good team, so I don't know. Anyway, back. So that'll be the end of this video. If you've watched till here or listened to me ramble on for the past 10 plus minutes, you're awesome. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like the video, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. And until the next video, bye.